Hi guys, welcome to a patio edition of What Do Plants Need? It's really good to see all of you, and it's been exciting to see all of the projects that you're working on at home, and I'm so excited to see all of your comments and tell me what you would like to grow at home. So today our question is, what do plants need? And what do they need not only to survive, but to thrive? Now, a lot of you were probably growing plants at school, but when we weren't able to go back, you don't have your plants with you. So I thought maybe we can talk about what they need, and you can grow some things on your own. So let's talk about the plant first. What exactly are we talking about when we're talking about a plant? Let's talk about its parts. So I decided to draw a flowering plant. So my flowering plant has a few parts. One is where it begins. It's called the roots. So a plant will start to take root, and it has to start from a little old something called the seeds. So a big plant will make seeds, and they will drop down to the ground. And once they drop down to the ground and find some good soil, they're going to need some things in order to become a sprout. But they start to sprout up out of the ground, and that little sprout is going to begin its roots. And as it continues to grow, it's going to grow this great big green thing here. It's really tall and strong to help the plant have some substance and to hold itself up even when the wind is blowing or somebody pushes on it. This is called, that's right, it's called the stem. Stem. Stem is what holds all of the top of the plant up. When we get a little seedling, it's going to sprout, and the first thing it's going to sprout are these things right here. What do we call those? You are right, the leaves of the plant. And the leaves of the plant are the first thing that are going to signal, where's that sunlight? Oh, I want to stretch out and become stronger. And so they recognize where the sun is, and they start to come up in the sunshine. Now, then they start to put on their flowers. Now, the flowers don't automatically come out. They start as a little ball, and they start to open up little by little until you can see all of this part of the plant. And we call these parts the petals. That's right, the petals. And petals can be of all different colors. Some are just going to be green, but on flowering plants, usually they're very bright whites or yellows, and there's a whole rainbow of colors that they can possibly be. This helps to attract the insects and the other birds so they can spread their seeds in other ways too. So we're talking about plants today, and what exactly do they need to grow? So in my picture, I put some other things that you're going to see when you're outside. Now, the very first thing that a little seed is going to come into contact with is the ground. And at the ground level, we call this a special something. So it's sometimes referred to as dirt. Like moms and dads say, I don't want you to get your clothes all dirty. But there's one special word that we use for it when we're talking about plants, and that is a place where it's going to get all the food and nutrients that it's going to need. This is called our soil. Soil. And soil has so many different components in it to help the plant become strong. Just like we eat food, our plants take its nutrients, like our nutrients is from food, from the soil and the water that gets into the soil. So that is the very first thing that we're going to need whenever we are growing a plant. We're going to need some soil. If you are growing it from a seed, you're always going to need something to put it in, and it's going to start off as its soil. I'll show you that there's a few alternatives until you actually get it into the soil. that's for a little bit later. Now, once you have the soil, you're going to also want to give it something to drink. So it has nutrients to absorb, and it's going to need to be able to take that nutrients up somehow, and they do that by water. Now, where can we get water from? Where does the earth get water from? That's so true. It comes from the sky in the form of rain. This is where we get rainwater. And we collect the rainwater that falls down to the ground, and that's how we end up putting it into our homes, from rainwater. The other thing that is around us almost all of the time, maybe not as much in the winter, but now that it's spring, it's so bright and shiny. That's the reason I decided to come outside with you. So it comes from the sun, that's right. And the sun will give us sunlight. Sunlight shining on the plants. Oh, this is one way that it knows that it is ready to grow. Now, I've given it some soil. I've given it some water. I've given it some sun. What other things might I need? Now, you and I do something that plants also need to do, but they do it in a different way. That's right. They need air to breathe just like we do. They need it so that they can have a place for their bodies to continue to grow and ways for their seeds to spread out. So this air is a very important component of life. If I put it in a plastic bag, even if that bag is getting sunlight, it's getting water, it's getting soil, it's probably not going to become a strong plant because it needs that air, because it breathes through its leaves. It doesn't have lungs like we do. The next thing that we're going to need is, if I was all bunched up and didn't have any space, would I be able to grow my roots? No. If there's no place for the roots to take hold and no space for the plant to continue growing, that plant is not going to do very well. And after that, it probably will die. So having a space for it to live is another important aspect of life. So let's go over those again. The question was, what do plants need to survive? So we talked about how we can get rainwater, but in any form, whether it's in a watering can or a cup or a little bottle that we puncture some holes into, putting water on the plant is the only way that it's going to be able to get what it needs to continue to grow. So water is a very good component of life. For a plant, they need soil. That's where they're going to get all of their nutrients, whether it's in the ground inside of a garden or in a potted plant like the one I have up here. They all need soil to grow. And there's a lot of different kinds of things that plants, a lot of different kinds of soils that plants can grow in. It doesn't have to just be one kind. But depending on your area, you may have one kind. Depending if it's supposed to be for a potted plant, they may make something that holds a little bit more moisture in it. So soils can have lots of different components, but just know that it is a necessary part of life. The last part about it growing in the ground is that it's going to need space. If all of the plants are bunched up together, only some of them are going to be able to come out and grow to their fullest potential. The other ones will probably say, oh, go ahead, you go ahead and grow because I don't have enough space. So space is a very, very important thing for plants. If we grow them as little seedlings when they're very tiny, it's okay to give them just a little bit of space. But as they get bigger and bigger, you need more and more space. Sun. We have it all the time, but we need not take, we don't want to, what's the word I'm looking for? Take it for granted. So it's something that we don't necessarily think about all of the time because it's always there. But if you put a plant inside of a cabinet, don't give it any of that sunlight, what do you think is going to happen? Yeah, I have some like that. So we started some plants, and I forgot this one inside. It had still some water in it, and it had its soil, it even had its space, but it didn't get the light that it needed, and it didn't continue to grow. But examples like this one had its water, had its space, its little seedling started to sprout. These are wildflowers that my friend April started to make, got its sunlight, and now it's doing fantastic. It's ready to be planted. But you can see it's starting to get a little bit crowded in there. There's about 4 or 5 different sprouts. And so I'm going to regrow them by giving them a little bit more space in the ground and in a sunny space. The last thing is air. We also take that one for granted. It needs space and air in order for it to continue to breathe and take in the nutrients on its roots and direct itself towards the sunlight. So just know those are the 5 components that you need: water, soil, space, sun, and air. Those are the things that plants need to survive and to thrive. I wanted to show you some of the plants that we were growing before we let out from school and how they started to take root. This was actually a bean plant, and this bean plant, just like this one, I had one already taken out for its roots, is doing phenomenal. Its stem is strong, it's got lots of different leaves on it already, but it's starting to run out of space. Let me show you how close those roots are. All of this is what's under the soil. All of these little rootlings are coming out, and I'm going to repot it really soon so that it has a lot more space to grow and get even stronger. Maybe I'll do a review so you can see what it looks like after that. So my challenge to you is, I know that you weren't all able to take your plants home when school let out. So I wanted to make a challenge to see what can you grow at home. And I have some examples of things that I got. So you know what these delicious things are called? Strawberries. Well, did you know that each one of those little holes has a seed in it? And I went ahead and took a toothpick and pulled out some of those seeds, and I started a little baggie to grow it. Also, an avocado. A lot of us in Texas are eating those now. Some spring onions that we use, where you can cut the bottoms off. Let me show you what my bottom looks like when it's cut off. So this is one that I started just a few days ago. I cut it off of my spring onion, and I just put it to rest in some water, and it's already started to root. And the little sprout is starting to come out in the middle. And if I give it some more soil and some more water, sunlight, air, and space, it's going to get even bigger. Let me show you what the next step of it looked like. So I just took this one out of the soil that I had planted it in. So after just a few more days, my plant's roots are way, way longer, almost as long as the stem that we see growing on top. That's how long my roots are. And that's just from a vegetable that I had in the house. My strawberries, since they started out as little seeds and I pulled them all out, I got a bag. I just recycled a bag that I had in the kitchen from some rice, and I put a wet paper towel inside with my seeds. Let me show you what my seeds look like. There they are, all spread out. And after just a couple of days, it honestly has been about 3 days, they've already started to sprout themselves. Let me take a couple off and see if you can see it. So there is 2 of them, and they already have long little roots coming out. And that was just from the outside of my strawberry that I got to enjoy. I still got to eat it, but I got to collect the seeds from it. So my challenge to you is to see what you have around your house that you can grow and take care of it. Give it all of the 5 things that it needs: sun, space, air, soil, and water, of course. See what you can do. Leave me in the comments what you've grown at home and what you're trying to grow at home. Take care. Bye.